Good evening, I am Amadin Ogbewe. Now, with the spate of increment in school fees across universities, polytechnics, and other learning institutions across the country, it has become pertinent to find out what Nigerian students are really going through. This is coming even as the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, during his inauguration, removed subsidy on premium motor spirit. This has led to a subsequent increase in the price of transportation and even goods in the markets and services. Now, students will be feeling the impact even more than usual, as the school fees increment is still yet to be completely resolved. Tonight, I will be talking to immediate past president, the national president, that is, of the National Association of University Students, Mujaheed Shuaibu. He joins me now to speak on the plight of students, the way forward, and recommendations for the government and all stakeholders involved. Mujaheed Shuaibu, welcome to Top Talk.
All right, thank you.
It's good to have you here. It's been a while. We've been trying to make this happen.
Yes.
Thanks for coming.
All right, thank you.
All right, let's start with the basics. In your opinion, as of today, what is the state of things for Nigerian students? You know, how well do you think things are going? Bearing in mind that the new administration has been in play for over a week now, what would you say is the state of things for students?
Okay, well, thank you very much. I am happy once again to be here again. Well, from the look of things now, with the current situation we are, the students are actually suffering a lot. It has not been easy for the Nigerian students in all ramifications. Before the removal of the fuel subsidy of 18, the Nigerian student has been suffering from this school fees hike increment. Then, before even the school fees increment of 18, you know, the incessant ASU strike of 18 has really affected our school calendars. So many universities now, they cannot recover from the time wasted from the ASU strike of 18. Some students are supposed to even graduate, some are supposed to even served. Some of them are in the university, they have stuck in 200 level, some 300 level. We have 2 sets of 100 level currently. They did not move. When you do not graduate students, you are not expecting others to move to the next level of the classes. So it is at the result of time now, due to the time factor that has been wasted, some of the universities are trying to adjust their calendar to meet up with the time wasted, because their meet in other private universities have gone far, while the public schools up to now are still suffering from that. And come to the school fees increment of 18. If you look at the budget from the Ministry of Education in general, from the federal government, the federal government is supposed to do more than the allocation they are giving to the educational sector. If you look at the advanced countries now, they are heavily investing in education. Go to UK, go to US, most of their IGR is coming as the result of the international student coming to that country to study. So with that alone, and if you noticed, most of those schools, the activities of these universities of the advanced countries, it is this school management, they are running there. It's an independent organization. But reverse is the case in Nigeria here. The allocation given to the universities is not enough for them to run the universities. That is why you see they don't have a choice than to hike the school fees. Let me use my school as a case study. I'm an MSc student from ABU's area. The allocation of the university is no more than 150 million naira. You understand? Even the casual staff of the university alone, their salary is over 100 million naira. The university, every blessed month, they are paying over 100 million plus for light bills. As I'm speaking to you now, the school is shut down for some period of time due to the school is owing over 980 something million naira. So the light bill is so much to the extent that the university, after the first semester exams, the university cannot continue. Do you understand? So what I'm trying to say here is, federal government should heavily invest in education so that the common masses can find it easier to study. Because as I'm speaking to you now, all the universities, the school fees increment is more than 100%. Some from 40,000 to 100 plus, some from 70,000 to 200 plus. Where do you expect a public schools that the common masses will find it very easy? And all those students they are seeing, some is self-sponsored.
Well, let me ask, is there any, clear communication about what's happening? Take, for instance, with what we're seeing now with the president's announcement of fuel subsidy removal. If you were taking transportation a certain amount and the amount is now double or triple, you know why, So for students, I'm wondering, is there clear messaging to the students that your school fees that used to be 70,000 is now 140? This is why, because this increment came even before the removal of fuel subsidy. So is it as a result of what you said, more funding needed, so they decide to tax the students, or what? I just want to know, is there clear communication between the universities, the, education providers and the students?
Yeah, thank you very much for the question. Honestly, if there is, just like you said, the increment came before the removal of the fuel subsidy. Had it been there is enough proper allocation for the university running costs, the university will not in any way hike the school fees, because it's very clear for them. Just like I made mention, they have casual staff to pay their monthly salary. They have other running costs. What they are getting is not sufficient for them to cater for all this. They don't have a choice than to generate these funds. And how can they generate these funds? Is by extorting the student by hiking the fees, which is not supposed to be so. So if proper allocation is coming to them, so believe me, all those necessary needs of the running costs of the university, they will remove it from that allocation that they are getting. Then the school fee is supposed to be moderate, that a common man, the poor masses, can be able to afford it. And come back to the issue of the removal of subsidy. As for me, I know nothing good comes easy in life. And we're all suffering from the current situation, and nothing lasts forever. The issue of fuel subsidy is something that is very complicated matter. As for me, the removal of the subsidy is the best thing for the country. Why I said so is, according to the government, some set of people, the oil cabals, are benefiting from the subsidy, not the general masses. If some selected few Nigerians who are privileged to be the oil cabals are only benefiting from this so-called subsidy, so what is our gain?
But Nigerians are suffering now.
That is what I said.
And everything.
Nothing good comes easy in life. In everything in life, there must be a process. So this process, that is why we're urging the federal government to come to our rescue, to try as much as possible. Let this suffering and this hardship should not last for a long period of time. For the meantime, we can try to endure. Do you understand? Because just like the way they said, all this huge amount of money that is being allocated to the subsidy, some set of people pocketing it, while we, the masses, they are doing more harm to us than good. So if at the result of we make this sacrifice, let me use this word sacrifice, we'll just sacrifice a little bit time so that this The president will, I heard that the president have set a committee to review and prove the issue of this oil sector of it. So if the committee, or let's say the president, is trying to do, let the committee, as a matter of fact, do the necessary thing and the needful, so that the Nigerians will not be suffering the way we are suffering now. You see now the transport fare for the student. If you go to so many campuses now, as a result of that, some students that are staying in the off-campus, they cannot even go for their lectures. Why? Because the let's say the keke napep or the bag they enter or a bus, let's say it's 100 naira. Some places now they are demanding 400, some they are demanding 500. The fare now is tripled. So some of the students now, they are so stranded. Some people are on holiday, they cannot even travel down to their state due to the hike of the petroleum. So that is why we are pleading to the government to come to rescue of the Nigerians, not even only the students, because the general masses are suffering from this. And if you see in the general perspective now, you look at now, so many things have increased as the result of the transportation.
All right, so let's quickly head back just a bit to the issue of school fees increment.
Okay.
What are student bodies doing about it? I remember I spoke to the NAUS president some months ago, and he told me about the 3 methods they use. I believe it's consultation, consolidation, and
then confrontation.
Yeah.
Yes.
So since then, I'm not sure I've quite seen past the part of consolidation. We've not seen any confrontation, but yet students are paying more. Just the other day, we spoke to some Nigerians about this fuel subsidy.
Yeah.
One of them happens to be a student, and while he was lamenting about the increase in prices, he was also lamenting about the school fees. Like you said, he's one of those who is sponsoring himself. Yeah. So the question is, what are the bodies really doing to kind of advocate for students to ensure that, at least to an extent, there's some listening ear, even if it's just some level of bargaining, that if you must increase it, don't increase it by this amount. What's really going on?
Okay, thank you very much. If you could remember, during my days in office as the National President of National Association of University Students, I led a powerful delegation to meet with ASU leadership in their secretariat in University of Abuja. Then, even the ASU leadership and the NANS leadership, the mother body, had issues then as the result of agreement and disagreement. But I came in between. I tried as much as possible to meet with the ASU leadership. We told them about the situation, and they should try as much as possible to be considered, because we know all their agitation, they are doing it for our own good and benefit. The academic allowance, the NUPEMCO, funding of universities, what have you, they are all things that we are the beneficiaries. Because if you go to universities now, you see our lecture theaters is so poor. Go to laboratories, go to there. Some of the staff does not even have office. They do share offices, which is not supposed to be so. When the lecturers are so comfortable in the environment, I think they will try as much as possible to give us their best. If they are not comfortable, how do you expect them to be comfortable with things? And you go to a theater, you see, let's say, a combined lecture of a faculty, you see more than thousands of students in a theater that is not more than 500 capacity. You see students sitting in the floor and what have you. So the issue of school fees increment, you knew then. I went to Federal University of Technology, Mina. I had a meeting with the leadership. I went to Yobe State University. I went to the University of Benue. I went to University of Nigeria in Nsukka. I went to University of Katsina, that's Erasmus University. I went to get so many universities. We had a meeting with the SUG leadership before we met with the school management.
Were you able to get resolutions?
Yes. Just like we told you, we used to have our 3 C's before anything we do. We had a meeting with the school management, just like I told you. They are only concerned, and their problem is the lack of proper funding for them. Just like I made mention of my university for you. Their allocation is just 150 million. Even their casual staff alone salary is 100 million. The electricity bill is more than 100 million. You that you are giving 150 million, and you do not talk about the other running cost of the university. That you have we have 19 faculties apart of other colleges, more than 100 and something departments in my university. At undergraduate level, you don't talk about the postgraduate. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the next thing for them, their only option is to generate the revenue by themselves, the IGR. How can they generate the IGR? It's by them tripling the fees. And to some extent, them too, they are not being fair to us. In anything they are doing of such, they are supposed to be considerate. When I was in 100 level, my tuition fees was, as a starter, fresher, new student, I paid 30,000 naira my school fee, including the charges. My 200 level, I paid 19,700. My 300 level, I paid 19,700. My 400 level, I paid 19,700. My 500 level, I paid the same. Do you understand? It as the result of immediately after the COVID-19, immediately after, imagine me that I studied in that now, if you go back to most of those universities, you will not hear anything 19,000. You hear 100 plus, you hear 200 plus, you hear 300 plus, depending on your course. So just imagine. Then 19,000 naira, even me as a person, I can hustle to pay for my own tuition fees. But now reverse is the case for the student. Just like I said, so many are self-sponsored. So that is why during our meeting with most of the schools management, we used to tell them, hiking the school fees is not the best thing to do. At the level of the university, why can't you utilize the little resources you have and invest in another thing to generate more funds from it, to cater for your necessary need? You can build a hotel here in Abuja. You can build a hotel in another state. It depends on whatsoever business you want to do. What matters is make your legit money so that you can run this university. Do you understand what I'm saying here? Not by extorting the student, these poor masses that they are the ones sponsoring themselves. So to some extent, so many universities that I mentioned for you, then they reversed the money to a level that is affordable. Like if you go to my school now that I told you now, from that 19,000, I think they are paying 30 something or 40,000, it depending on the cost. So to some extent, you see, it's reasonable due to the economic hardship of this country, compared to other schools from 40 something, 100 and something. Come to University of Abuja and see how the fees is up. My school still today, ABU Zaria is still paying lesser than other universities. Do you understand? Because no any student in my university is paying 80,000 as tuition fees. But come to University of Abuja, some courses are 106, 100. To some extent, as I'm speaking to you now, ABU Zaria school fees is still fair. So if ABU Zaria, the mother school of all northern universities, one of the best school in sub-Saharan Africa, will be considerate to some extent, while others will not emulate from ABU Zaria, just for the sake of the poor masses.
All right. You've handed over now.
Yeah.
But do you think the new leadership, both of NAUS, NANS, and all the student bodies, should start moving up to that third C to really drive home the message that this is not acceptable? You know, we saw that the other day, a student from Uni Abuja apparently made some sort of letter talking about taking action for the school fees hike, and he ended up getting rusticated for it, in a manner of speaking. So, do you think it is time for the bodies to move to the next level?
Yes, of course it is, because our interest is to protect the interests of the students, nothing more, nothing less. No matter what the student did, no matter what they did, we as their leaders, we are always by their side. When they are wrong, we address them that you people, what you did is wrong.
So is there any chance of seeing protests or thereabouts from students?
Well, for now, we have set a committee from the leadership of, just like you said, the NANS, the NAUS leadership, and some critical stakeholders at the SUG level and across the zones. The committee have started reaching out to the school management for the school fees increment to be reduced. As of the case of University of Abuja, just last week, the NAUS president and as well as the leadership of NAUS and some critical stakeholders were in the university. The vice chancellor made promise to them that the school fees increment will be reversed. We knew it cannot go back to the way it was before, but to some extent, let it be fair, let it be affordable. Do you understand? And the issue of us having a protest of anything, if nothing is being done after our 3 C's in the Aluta, we don't have a choice than to have a protest. If it will take us to shut down the campuses, we will do that. Because as it is now, the best thing that the government will give us or any other person is just this education. We are not demanding for much. This is the best thing you will give us. We don't want anything rather, but let us have that quality, good education. So many of them benefited from this education. Some of them are, let me say, majority of them, then their school fees was free. And every month they used to be getting stipend. Their meals ticket is just 50 kobo. Today you go down to universities now. Which university campus you go at 500 naira, you have a lunch with it or breakfast? None. As the result of the hardship we are today. So that is why we're appealing to them first and foremost. We have a dialogue with them. This is our demand. Sometimes it's not everything you get, but at least out of our agitations, okay, this is what we want. Let this school fees be fair. Let it be reasonable and moderate. We are okay with it.
All right. Hopefully that yields more results. I'll keep in touch to get more updates on that. Let's talk about the legislative or the legislature. Pardon me. It's been settled. The president has been sworn in. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He has even begun his appointments. Yeah. On the other side, we have the CJN Ariwola, who was sworn in the other time.
No, yes.
So we have the head of the executive, the head of the judiciary.
Yeah.
So what we're looking at now in the coming days is the emergence of the leadership positions in the Senate and the House of Rep, which is the legislature. Yeah. Now, taking into account that the last strike that ASU had, it was one of the key figures who led to the resolution was the Speaker of the House of Reps, Femi Gbajabiamila, who is now the appointed Chief of Staff. Yeah. So it means that those positions are just as important to students as anything else. I'd like to get your thoughts. How are students viewing this in terms of the arrangement? What do they feel should be happening, and who or what profile of persons should be expected to fill in these very important positions?
Okay. Thank you very much. I think the 10th Assembly, we are hoping and praying to have the best leadership. Because whenever there is any transition, we believe the ones coming should do better than the outgoing. The Nigerian students, just like I said, we are not demanding for much. All what we want is a qualitative education. The executives, the Minister of Education is in charge of all the affairs of the educational sector of the country, taking directives from the President. The National Assembly, the 2 houses, we have House Committee on Education in general, and we have House Committee on Tertiary Institutions. If we have a qualitative leadership, I believe from the committees, the National Assembly will be checkmating the executives to make sure that all the necessary things are supposed to be done. Will put in place all the modalities. But if you don't have a good qualitative leader from the National Assembly, the executives will be doing whatever they feel like to be doing. Just like if you reverse back, just like what you said, the former speaker, I can vouch to that his good effort He contributed a lot to come in between and be the mediator between the ASU and the federal government. It is not his duties, but as a concerned citizen, he stood firm to make sure that despite all the challenges and what have you, and today look at where we are today, universities are opened. And today, him being the chief of staff to the president, believe me, you, by the special grace of God, we know the Nigerian students will have a peace of mind that somebody who fought tirelessly to make sure that that issue is being resolved is close, he's more closer to the president, because as far as any appointment is concerned, you're under the chief of staff. So you see, any other person will be answerable to the chief of staff. So you see, that's to tell you now, to some extent, we are so much happy that somebody who carried our matter like his own personal matter, that the issue was resolved, and today he's closer to the president than any other person.
Right.
And
okay.
And coming back to the leadership of the National Assembly again, we believe it is a very high time for the judiciary, to the executives, and the general masses to allow the National Assembly to select, or rather elect, the best among them.
What about the issues of arrangement, zoning and all that? What do you think should go where, or should it just be a result of whatever they decide?
Okay, the issue of zoning, I think, is very important, because the Northerners, even though some people were not in support of that decision, but the stakeholders, the Governors Forum, came on board one certain time, which I forgot the month then. They came together and said, after this President Muhammad Buhari administration, the power is going back to the South, which they stood firm, even though it's against some wishes. And the power went back to the South. Judiciary is in the South now. So I believe, to balance the equation, let the leadership of the National Assembly come from the North.
Both Senate and House of Reps? Or just one of them?
So, I will say, if we are talking about the 10th Assembly in general, we have two houses, the Senate and the Reps. Then we'll look at other critical appointments, which the president is yet to appoint. It's just few he did. Let's say his chief of the judiciary, just like I said, from the South, the president comes from the South, because we are not talking about the geopolitical zone, we are talking about the South in general. If we want to talk, we will talk about the North in general.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So to me, I feel it is necessary for the leadership of the National Assembly to come to the North. If, for example, the Senate president is from the North, definitely his deputy will come from the South. You see, they are trying to balance the equation there. Likewise, the speaker and the deputy speaker as well. Do you understand?
Okay.
So, to us, we don't care, we don't mind how they want to do it. Maybe the Senate or the Reps, maybe the Senate is going to the North, or maybe this person. But what we are trying to say is anointing of a candidate. That is where we are more concerned in that aspect.
You are against it, or you are for it?
We are against it.
Okay.
The president was not anointed. He got his ticket via a contest. He duly contested and he won his ticket before the general election. So let the legislative be an independent body.
All right. We seem to have run out of time now, but it's been great having you on the show. Hopefully we can talk more in the future about student welfare, and if there are improvements, after these discussions that we'll keep having. Thank you so much for coming.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.